Right. Welcome to the second part of this particular dashboard. In the first dashboard, we've looked at how to clean the data and as well create our model relationship and stuff like that. And in this part, what we're going to get into is how we can actually create the write the logic that we're going to use for our visualization. But before then, let us take a look at what the task is in case you've not seen that in the first part. All right, you have just seen the tags. All you just need to do now is to go ahead and download all this particular data set we have right here. And let us see how we can actually create this dashboard together. Let's get on it. Okay, welcome to the second week of this particular project. In the first project, we have actually imported our data and we've created this particular model right here where we create our relationship. So today we're going to see how we can actually utilize this. And the much more complex part we have is this particular part right here. So we have different fact tables. So how do we use this? All right, let me just take you through what we can do to have this achieved. If I take you to this particular end here now, you can see we have fact table transaction. Inside the transaction table, please pay attention for you to get it right. So we have our unit price right here. So the unit cost is actually not inside this table, but if you look at this particular table we have right here, which says fact table product cost. So we have the cost of our products right inside this table. So how do we fetch from another fact table to another fact table in order for we to calculate our cost of goods sold? That is the question you need to bear in mind before we do this. Could a related function in DAX work with this? I guess no. So let's find out. So right here, I'm back to this part. Let me just close everything. Now, as you can see, we have the first fact table, second fact table, and our third fact table here. So I'm going to need to actually bring in the cost of our products inside this particular fact table. So which is this one I've clicked on now? This is what we have active. So all we need to do now is to actually insert a new column. To do that, you have your new column here. Click on it, or you can right click inside the table to insert a new column. All right, we have our new column here. Let's see how to begin to do this. So I'm going to name this one product cost. So I'll put my equal to there. Shift enter to go into a new line. So you can indent it by clicking the tab key to just shift a little bit from the second line. Okay, the question is this: can we use a related function to do this? The answer is no, because we have fact tables. So we're going to actually navigate into another fact table to bring something right to another fact table. So the right function to use is called lookup value. So with this lookup value here, it's looking for result column. So shift enter. So now we need to provide it the result column. What do we want and where do we want this from? So what we want is actually the unit cost. So the unit cost is actually in the table called product cost, which is this particular table right here. That was the table I've shown you. Don't worry. At the end of this, once we have seen the result, I'm just going to show you or go through it over and over again for you to understand what is going on right here. So I'm going to have my comma here. It's asking for search column. This search column will be a column that it could use to search for this. Let us see what table has a relationship with this particular product cost table. Let us feed that table in here. And those are the tables we have that has relationship with this particular table. So you don't just feed in. Let us try to see if country code could work. So country code. Here we have it. So we have country code. I'm going to put my comma. So that is this search column. So this country code must appear inside this table. And the next one again is for we to use a related table to get this. Shift enter. So now I can actually type in another function here called related table. Related, not related table, just related. So with this related now, we're trying to grab a related table to this particular table called fact table transaction. And what could that be? So the very table that has relationship with here now is actually our customer. So dimensional table underscore customer. Oh, okay. Let us name the column we want. Country code from the customer table has a relationship. My comma here. Okay, before comma, I have to close this. Then my comma. Now we have provided it our search value here, which is a column or from a table that has a relationship with this table before it could be able to pull in the value we're looking forward to seeing. Now, what is the search column that we can use for this? So the search column now should be like month number. I know it's a bit complicated, but don't worry, it's going to be easy. Month number here. So with month number, I place my comma here. So it's looking for search volume 2. Maybe your question is this: if we commit this, won't we just get it already? No, it's not going to come. You can try this once you're typing it out on your screen and see how it looks like. So what is the next one? Shift enter. We're going to look for another related table again using the related function. And this time around, we want to give it the month number. We've just used from the calendar, the month number from calendar table. So that is it. So once I actually close and put my comma now, it will look for search value 3, and that will definitely be my product key. So product key here. And this product key must be the one that comes from what? From the fact table that we want to actually pull something from. You get that now. If I put my comma, it's looking for search value 3. And for the search value 3 now, we need to give it the product key coming from this particular table where we are. You get it? That is the product key from fact table transaction. So here is our fact table transaction. We give it this particular product key. So if I place my comma there, now let's see what we need to provide for it. That is going to be the year from our fact table cost. I know this is a bit complicated. So year, so we have year in calendar and we have another year in what? In the fact table cost. We just need to give it to it. So I'm going to place my comma, shift, enter, and finally we use the related function again. And this time around, we just need to pull the year from the calendar table. So this has to do with some kind of, I think we're going to have an error. Don't worry. We just mistakenly committed this. So it pulled out an error here. So because we did not specify the column where we want this particular year to be. So let us just open it and put our year and specify the year from our calendar table or our date table, right? So now shift, enter, and I'm going to close that, right? So shift, enter. I'll have to close my lookup value. And by this time, if I just commit it, we should have exactly the value we're looking for. Can you see it now? We've gotten the product cost right here. And as well, we have our what? We have our product unit price here. So which means we can now go ahead and start writing our DAX because we've actually gotten this done. Why did we do what we have done? Using this particular lookup value before these three related function right here. That was because we are trying to get something from another fact table. Let me show you what it is. If I come here now, so you can see this particular function pulled something from this table here to this table. And we utilize different tables to be able to get into here. Because if this was like a dimensional table or a lookup table, what we would have just used is just like this particular related alone would have been okay. But just because this has to do with another fact table with multiple columns inside it, and so in this table we have foreign keys. In this table as well, we have foreign keys. So it will now make it difficult for us to just use this particular related function over this particular table here to pull value into this particular one. So the only function that could be used in that particular case is the lookup value. And when we use lookup value, we need to supply a lot of argument for we to actually pull in what we want to pull into this particular table. That is exactly what it is. So practice will definitely make you to understand better what we have done here and how we were able to actually achieve this. So what about that? Nicely done, right? Okay, now it is time to get back to this particular place. So for now, I have to get these ones off. We don't actually need them. We don't need this one as well. Please, if you have not updated your Power BI desktop, please go ahead and do that. And if you want to check your version, your current version, the version you're using right now, just click on Help and go to About right here. So that shows you the version you are using currently. So now my current version now is actually, March 2023. So make sure you have the same version with me, then we can be on the same page. Okay, after I'm done doing that, what I need to do next now is to go to Home. And from Home, I love to organize my mergers inside a disconnected table. Right now, I'm going to go into here where it says Enter Data and click on it. Just give it some few time. It will definitely pop out something for you to actually create your disconnected table. This is what it is. Do not enter anything right here. Just forget about this one. This is where you have to focus on. So with here, we have to name our measure. I'm going to say all measures right here. And with that, I can just click on load. And this is going to load straight up to my Power BI desktop. That is exactly what it is. So this very table we are creating now has no relationship with any of our tables before now and any subsequent tables we're going to add. So all we just want to organize here are just measures. That is all. So now we have this particular all measure here. Beautiful. So we can now start to create our start writing DAX to compute how much revenue have we made, the gross profit and all that. So let's start from here. Okay, let us first of all right click from here. You can see where it says new measure. Another place you can actually go to get this used is when you click on this particular table tools here, you will see where it says new measure under calculations. You have quick measures, new column and new table. This has to do with tables while this one has to do with measures. So click on it. Okay, now with our new measure, the first measure we are going to compute now is called gross revenue. Gross revenue. Remember, we have difference from gross revenue from that of net sales. So here is net sales and this is gross revenue or gross sales. So I'm going to show you what the difference are and let's do it. Okay, now here we have this. I'm going to name this one my gross revenue. So put my equal to right there, shift enter to go into the next line. To indent this, you just click on the tab key. That is beautiful. So what function do you think we could use to do this? That is the sum x, of course, the iterate function. So the sum x. And if you are just learning DAX for the first time, where you have to actually, put your eyes on right now is this particular part right here and this part. And lastly, you have to check what result will you return when you supply the right, columns to this particular SUMX. So it's going to return the sum of an expression evaluated for each rows in a table, right? Filter context. All right, let's go ahead on it. So the first thing we need to supply for it right now is a table. And which table are we trying to calculate this from? That is our fact table. So we have 3 different fact tables here. Which of the 3 fact tables? All right. So remember, when we actually, if you own a company, your daily transaction, you will go into the data table or the fact table, right? And that is going to be this one here. If customers returned the already purchased product, you record it right here. And we have our cost recorded here that we've just pulled in. So I'm going to pick it up from here. So have my comma. Remember, we're using fact table transaction. So with that, we're not going to look up any other table for now. What we need to do is to get to our order quantity. So the order quantity is actually in our fact table transaction. Order quantity is in our fact table transaction. I commit that. So once you've gotten that, you multiply that by what? By the unit price. So here is our unit price. So the unit price is still formed inside our fact table transaction. There are some situations where your unit price will be in the product table, but the way this data was captured, we don't have our unit price in a separate table. We actually have our unit price in the same table. So this is all we need to do to calculate our gross revenue. So just hit enter to commit this, and this measure will be changed into gross revenue. Nicely done, right? So the next thing we do now is to format this into a particular number formatting. So it depends on the country you are. So you can find the number formatting you want from any country right here. So I'm going to use just this particular United States dollar number formatting, right? So for this particular part here, it will definitely have some kind of decimal places. I want to remove it. I have 0 right in there. I hit my enter key. That will definitely remove the those particular trailing numbers. Okay, now we've just gotten this done. This is just our gross revenue. What about our our net sales? That means you need to know what is gross revenue and what is net sales, their difference, before you definitely agree that what we are doing is correct. All right, you have just seen what the gross revenue or the gross sales is. So what about the net sales? So let us create that. Right click. We can definitely test out and see if this is correct. So we have to push it into a card. So now let's see a physical result of what we've done. Now we have a result right now. So now we can now right click here and create a new measure. Inside this measure, we need to create our net sales. But that cannot be done yet because there are some of this particular column that will definitely warrant us that we have to use to create our net sales that are not present yet. And what are those columns? That is the total refund followed by the discount rate. So we need to get those columns ready before we have this one created. Let's do that. So before we do that, let us see what we need to create our total refund. So I'm going to actually step out of it. Then I will go into this particular table on a table view for we to see a physical table before we decide to get this created. I go into my fact table return. Inside the fact table return, you can see we have a column named returned quantity, and we have on that column named unit price, which is the prices for each of those return. So we have to multiply this together as well for we to get row by row. We have to do this, but we're not going to do a row context or a calculated column here. We have to do that with measure. I just want you to be aware of the column we are going to use to have this done. So now that we've captured the column we're going to use, that is the fact table return, we can now return back to this view and come in here, right click and create a new measure. So with this new measure, what we're going to do now is to actually say total refund equal to, you know the drill. So sum X will definitely do the work for us. So with the sum X, we are looking for a table, and that is going to be fact table. This time around, it is not fact table transaction. Instead, we are going to use fact table return. Then comma for the expression. Inside fact table return, we have what we call returned quantity. So return Q, that is return quantity. You can see that we just need to multiply this by the return price. That is unit price for return. Unit price. Under fact table return, we have a unit price there. We've just gotten that done. So shift, enter, close the sum X and hit this. Then we need to be consistent with our formatting. Now I just have to be here. So once you just click on this, it gives you a default formatting. If that is what you want to use, you don't need to have a drop down and select from it. Just click on the icon right there, the dollar icon, then you have the format right on it. So change this one to 0 for you to remove any extra decimal that might be on the number. So we have just done this now. In case you want to see this, what you can do now is, if I just want to have this right here right now, so it's going to convert this one to another set of visual for us that can actually help us to visualize this, not a single card. So now we have what we need. That is the total refund. So we need one more calculation before we can create our net sales, right? So net sales. So now new measure. So remember, we have a discount given to our customer. So we need to create the total discount that we have given to customers before we can be able to calculate the net sales. So what we need to do is to go into the table and calculate the total discount we have given. So for easy understanding, let us cancel this measure for now and go into the table where this particular discount is and understand what we have at that particular backend before we create this. So click on this one, and we have to use fact table transaction this time around. And if you look at here, we have what we call extended amount. So you might be thinking they're actually the same numbers. Actually, no, they're actually different numbers. If you scroll through, you'll see different results here. Can you see it now? So this is the extended amount. So if I scroll down to this end, we'll now see where we have where we have the discount in percentage right here. So coming to the back end now, we found that this was actually supposed to be in percentage, but it's not actually in percentage. So all we need to do is to convert it. But guess what? If we do the conversion right now, it's not going to work. So what do? Let us first of all do the wrong thing before we do the right thing. So have the column highlighted, go to column tools here, and decide to change this one into a percentage. Let us find out what we are going to have. Something very huge, just like this. Not cool, right? So we have to go ahead and fix this inside Power Query before we return back here and have the correct percentage. So to do that now, go to Home and click on Transform Data. So right now we are back to Power Query. We have to click on the right table, which is fact table transaction, and we need to navigate to the right hand corner and find our discount percentage here. So how can we do this? We need to add 0.0 to this number all through the whole rows before this can work. And what can we do to actually add this? All right, then we need to think outside the box. So to add 0 point, which means we're going to come here now. And right here, we're going to add 0.0 in here. And that is going to be all through the rows inside this particular column. How can we achieve this? Right. To do that now, you don't have to do that under add column, else it's going to create a new column for you. You can come here under transform and you look for where you have your text column here. Text column will do that for you. Then go to this particular format, click on it and choose add prefix. With the add prefix, I'm going to add 0.0 here and I'll just click on OK. That has just been added for us. So the next thing to do now, we can convert it to percentage right from here. Click on this particular part here and use this particular percentage. So that has been converted to percentage. Have you seen the magic? Then let us go back to our Power BI and see what we have. Close and apply. Then we have to give it some time to actually commit what we have just done right in here. So it wouldn't take much time. That should be done by now. It depends on the speed of your PC. Okay, now we have gotten the correct percentage right here as well. Can you see how we've just solved the problem? So now we're going to use to create our discount. To get a discount given to customers now, we have to multiply these two columns. So let us go ahead and perform that now that we've gotten this. So we are right here. We should click here, right click and create a new measure. Okay, inside this new measure now, I'm going to name it total discount. So we're still going to use the sum X we've used previously. And the table is going to be fact table transaction. That was where we actually converted that column to percentage. So, comma. And now we have to look for the extended amount. Extended amount is here. So we need to multiply that by what? Multiply that by our percentage. That is this discount percent here. So once I hit enter, that will definitely give me how much we have given as a discount to customers. So quickly format this. Then after the format, we can actually go ahead and bring this in. So we need to actually remove the extra decimal. That was why I always do this as a precaution. Under the auto, make sure you convert it to 0 and hit your enter key. It should give you the right value. So now we have this. So here is our total gross revenue. Here is the refund and here is the discount. Remember, this discount is actually going. So it's under go. So this refund as well is the money that left our organizational pulse as well. So they are all gone. So we have to actually subtract those two from here. So whatever we have now would be our net sales. So let us see what is net sales before we even create this net sales. Let's see what is even net sales itself. All right, now that we have seen what net sales is all about, let us create another measure and create our net sales from those three measures we have on our screen. So here is going to be our net sales. So quickly, our net sales will be our what? So to get into your measure quickly, just use the square bracket. It will give you all the measures you've created. As you can see, those three measures are those measures we have here checked. And they are those particular three measures we have right here. So we can get into those measures quickly by clicking on the tab key like this. So now gross revenue, we subtract the total discount given, and finally we subtract the total refund. That is the money refund to customers when they return products. That is all we need to do. So we just hit enter. We have just created our net sales. So what is next? We format it and we take off extra decimal places we have right on net sales. 0 here, hit enter. That is all. So let us bring this in here to see physically what we have done. Can you see it? So this is how much we have left. Can you see this now? That is beautiful. So now this is not final. So we need to actually take off costs of goods sold from this. So in that case, we have to create another measure to capture that before that can be used to take off something from here. Let's do that. So this is very easy, but I just want to take you back to here and actually, take you back to what we have done previously before now under the fact table transaction. That was where we brought in this particular column here, this particular product cost here. We've written huge chunk of DAX code, not a problem though. So now this is the column we're going to use to multiply what? To multiply the quantity that our customer purchased, and there we can actually get our cost of goods sold. So here is what? Here we look for the quantity. I think the quantity is somewhere around here. Okay, other quantity, here we have it, right? So now that you've known that we're going to use transaction or fact table, let's get back here. So right click on this and you click on your measure. By now, without watching this, you must have known what I am about to get into, and you can do it all by yourself. So this is cost of goods sold equals to, so shift indent it, and the sum X is still what I'm going to use. So fact table, transaction, comma, and here now is going to be our product costs. So under the transactional table, we have a product cost there. We multiply it by order quantity. Here is it. So you must check and make sure it's correct. Hit your enter key. You have just done justification to this. So now we can now calculate what is our profit, our gross profit. So make sure you format it. So let me just crank up these values so that you can see them better. So click on more option, then go to call out value here. So you can increase this to like 20. So that actually increase those values for you. So now go back here. In case you're wondering how I'm actually switching this, you can actually remove everything from here and you're left with this. So if you're just getting into Power BI or you've just updated your Power BI, it's a bit complex to actually navigate into the new interface right now. But once you have actually learned how to navigate, through this new one, believe me, honestly, you're going to like it very well. So just go to view. You have your filter here. You have the this particular data filter bookmark section right here, and you have the sync option here. So all of them. So you can just start closing them from here, or you can deselect most of them you're not going to use right from here. I just want to keep 2 of them, which is data and format. And I click right here. It doesn't matter even though if you don't turn this particular format here. As soon as you come in here and click on this particular more, it's going to turn it on for you automatically. That is exactly what I just want you to know. So before we go into detail about this, let us now go ahead and create our what? Our gross profit. Yeah, our gross profit margin. So we need to actually open here. So we right click into here, new measure. This time around, we are going to create our gross profit margin. You can see it's a bit different. Gross profits margin. So equals, so here is very simple. The net sales, we subtract it from what? From the cost of goods sold. Here we go. That gives us our gross profit. So look at it. You should look at it. Maybe if you were to do this, you will do something different. You are not supposed to take your gross revenue from cost of goods sold in this case, because there are so many other things that you need to put into consideration to know what is your net sales. We've seen what net sales definition is. Net sales is when you actually subtract refund, discount, if there is any tax or any other thing that you actually encountered in the course of, this transaction. You have to take it off from here in order for you to get your net sales. So your net sales now is the money you have. So if you have to take cost of goods from anywhere, it has to be from here. You get that? That's exactly what it is. So in this particular part of the class, we are going to focus more on measures than the visualization. And in the next part of the class, we are going to focus on visualization, design, and stuff like that. So let's do more. Okay, now it has been counted. The next thing now is for me to actually drag this in. So we have 701 total numbers of customers. All right, that is nice. So let us do this over the fact table. Numbers of customers, I'm going to specify which table we are doing this right on. So right here, I'm going to do numbers of customers 2. Then I'm going to use distinct count. So my distinct count now will look for customer key. And we have two types of customer keys here on different tables. We have customer key on customer table. We have customer key on the fact table called return. We have on the fact table called transaction. Which one should we use? We are talking about transaction, not returns. So definitely we are going to use the one coming from the transaction table. If I close and hit my enter key, let's see what we have. We might have the same value. That is not a problem, but let's just see what it is. Oh, no, working on it. Okay, fine. So can you see we have different values? You might be like, what the heck is wrong? Why should we have different values? Okay, that was what I was trying to explain to you that you didn't understand. Maybe you do understand, but I'm just kidding. Okay, fine. If I come here now, I'm going to circle this. This is coming from our customer table with what? With unique lists of values. While this one here is coming from our fact table. Guess what happens? The remaining customer here now did not make any purchase. We just have their name. So for that, if we want to know how many customers we've acquired, we can do that over the customer table. If we want to know how many customers have purchased, we can do that over the fact table, because every single time there's a transaction, if specifically you that is watching right now, you actually purchase from this company, your customer key will leave to what? Will leave to the fact table to record your transaction. The product you buy will leave the product table, which is its key, to the fact table. So you can have multiple customers. If your customer key is 001, if you come 3 times in a day to purchase something from this store, you are going to have 3 keys for today. Tomorrow, if you go 5 times, you're going to have 5 keys. Next tomorrow, if you go 2 times, you're going to have another key, which is 2 keys. Then in total, you're going to have 10 keys here. You get it? It's something that has to do with logic. Sit down, do this, practicalize it, and know what it is. I'm doing this just because I don't want you to actually create a wrong analysis. I want you to use the right table to compute what you want to compute. That is why I'm showing you this in detail. You understand? So now we have over 100 customers. that had never purchased from us. Those are the customer that had made purchase from us. So if we are to like, okay, total numbers of customers we have now, we say is this one. How many of them had purchased from us? They are this one, maybe in a specific month, whatever. So we can have it as a product as well. Let us find out on a product level. So right click, new measure. So right here, I'm going to say numbers of products. So I'm going to use the count rows as well. Count rows. So with the count rows, I'll bring my product table here. So we need the product lookup table, and I close it. I hit my enter. Now I'm going to move it right here. And we're going to do this over the product table again for we to see what it is that we have done. So we have 349 products. Fine. So let us see if we have sold all those products to customers. So we right click, we go into a new measure. Then we are going to actually go through the fact table transaction now. So numbers of what? Of products 2. So now we use distinct count, this here. So when we use distinct count, we go into product key. So the product key, not the one on inside return, but the one inside fact table transaction. So close this, hit your enter key. And once we are done committing this, we are going to drag it in right here. So let us have it. So can you see what we have now? So we've gotten exactly what we want. Here we have total numbers of product in our warehouse or on our shelf right now in our store to be 349, and only 334 had been sold over time. Did you get this? So what does this give you? If you want to calculate how many products you have existing inside your store, do that over the product table. So product table for PT. So if you want to calculate how many of them has sales, do that over fact table, that is for transaction, FT, because you're going to have different values. So it doesn't matter if I use distinct count on this one. I am still going to have the same value even though if I use this distinct count on this one, because already in this particular table we have distinct value. Let us try that. So if I hit my enter, oh sorry, let me get this one off. So I'm gonna go ahead and distinct count is yes, product lookup. Okay, we close this. Why are we having this error? Yes, we have that error because distinct count is looking for a column, not what? Not actually a table. So now we need to go into the product column and pull a particular column like the product key. So I'm going to pull product and I'll locate where we have our product here. Fact table cost, no. We have to go into the product and I want the product key. Now, this is the product key inside product table. It's a column. I'll bring it in. If I hit my enter, it should give me the same thing because what we are counting is the keys. You understand? There shouldn't be changes. Now, can you see? The value stays the same. But on the server side, just use controls and plug in the table. You have just done the good justification. Now you have seen it, right? Okay, fine. Let us do one more. That is we calculating the total transaction we have had over time. So let's see what I'm talking about. If I come into this table, when I close this, I'll go into the fact table transaction. So now every single rows every single row we have here represents a transaction from a specific customer, specific location, specific product, specific category. They are actually what? They are actually transaction. So now we're going to use a function called count rows. What count rows does is this. It will count the whole rows we have inside this table, which is what we've done. That is, if you want to count the numbers of transactions you've had over time, that is what you need to do. So let's get back here now. Now that we've known what we can use to calculate our total transaction, we can just go ahead and do that. And I believe you can just pause this now like, oh, come on, man, I can do this. So have you done that? If you've not, let's do it together. New measure, right? Let's this come up, right? So numbers of what? Transaction. Put my equal sign here. And now I use my count rows. My count rows now will tell me how many transactions we've had over time based on the numbers of months, weeks, quarters, and years we have. So fact table transaction is what I want to get for. So here we go. So we've gotten numbers of transaction. If I pull that in here, this gives me the numbers of transaction. Let me quickly format this to a comma separator, and that will be cool. So we have 60,000 plus of transaction inside our fact table. 60,000 plus transaction. For how many years? I think for like 4 years or 3 years, I presume. So that thing, okay. You can get that using the, if you want to get the year, click on this particular calendar and see how many years of data we have. So we've done this in our first, video. Please go ahead and watch that. And I can click on here from 2010 to 2013 is approximately 4 good years. So 60,000 transactions for a small store. That is okay. It's not bad. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have just calculated the most important explicit measures we need to just get this dashboard created. That is not all we're going to create. We're going to go into the complicated one beyond this, specifically the one that actually created this particular part of the dashboard, where we can actually select between any of the top we want. We can select to almost top 30 down to the minimum is top 1. So dynamically we can change that from here. As you can see, it changes down to this particular part of the customer. You can see it based on customer basis, and you can select a particular category you want to see, and you'll definitely see your dashboard changed. So you understand. So we're going to do this, and we have to write some measures that will definitely help us to do that. But we have just achieved the first explicit measure, which we can reuse to actually get this dashboard created. So all you need to do is to stay tuned to the next one coming up, because we just have to break it down and create it batch by batch for you to understand everything you need to know to actually be up, at the top of your organization. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, I think it is the best time you do that ASAP right now. Leave a comment, let me know what you feel about this video, and as well, the like button is your friend. Please click it. It wouldn't cost you anything. So I'll see you in the next week video. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So just go through the channel page and learn anything you want to learn in Power BI and Microsoft Excel. So happy Ramadan. See you